Hi everyone, my name is Kelsey Hanbach and I am a study abroad advisor in the Office of International Education in the college at Brockport. I'm a study abroad advisor here for quite a few of our programs, including those in the UK, Asia, and Africa. And today I'm going to be talking to you about pre-departure. So this is our orientation, and likely the ones watching this will be ones who couldn't come to campus, either at different SUNY schools or really across the country. So I hope you enjoy this orientation. It will have a lot of information for you about what to expect abroad and how to prepare. So let's get started. So today we are going to be covering quite a few things. That includes understanding and adjusting to a new culture. Also things like materials that you need to hand into our office before you leave, policies and procedures that you should understand before you go abroad, health, insurance, safety, three big things to keep you safe so you can enjoy your time while you're abroad. Also emergency contacts, just in case you need to get in touch with anyone here or we need to get in touch with you while you're abroad. Important links for you to know. Also things for when you get back, so some transcript information, credits, how to receive credit for studying abroad, because while you get to travel, you also are earning credit for it, which is just wonderful. Also, we have some tips on packing, finances, so how to get money while you're abroad, how to pay for things, how to travel and communicate while you're traveling. And for you, if you have any questions, please contact our office. Our email is overseas@brockport.edu, and our phone number is 585-395-2211 if you have any questions. So first we'll start off. It's really important for you when you go abroad to understand the culture of where you're going. For you, those listening, you're going on a variety of programs. So that might be a program that goes to Greece and Italy for a few weeks. So you get to tour in different cities and different locations. Or there might be a student who is going to Ghana for a whole semester, or a student who is going to the UK for just a month. So there are a lot of different types of study abroad programs, but no matter where you go and however long you are there, you should really try to understand the culture of where you're traveling to. So as you can see on the screen, there is what's called intercultural competence, and we really want you to understand this concept. So these are really characteristics that support effective and appropriate interaction in a variety of cultural contexts. So that means that you understand a bunch of different cultures and you can operate within them, respect them, and really take what you learned back to your own culture. So really, as you probably know, and you'll definitely learn while you're abroad, there are cultural differences between the U.S. and the host country. There are even cultural differences within the U.S., so imagine those outside of the country. Before you go, you really want to research these different cultural specific facts and information on the host country. It's good to know what to expect and that sort of thing. And really, culture also will begin at a much steeper level than what you're able to research or observe. So while you want to prepare yourself, you also just kind of want to immerse yourself in it while you're there. So continue to work to understand aspects of your own culture and how your values, beliefs, and how you're brought up directly affect and influence your behavior. So why you are the way you are can really help you understand and reflect on your experience while abroad and after you get back. So while you're there, really enjoy that process of accepting and assimilating to the host culture. So eat the foods, eat some street food that you might not really get here in the U.S. Go to some sort of cultural event or go to a museum or something that celebrates the culture of the host country. So just really immerse yourself as much as you can, because you really won't get to do that outside of study abroad quite as much. So while you're doing that, just recognize the progress you're making towards intercultural competence and understanding that host culture on a deeper level. You'll likely be able to tell the difference from before you left, in the middle of your journey, and then also when you get back home. So many of you have probably heard the term culture shock. So culture shock is pretty common with study abroad and with traveling, lengthy traveling in general. While Not everyone experiences culture shock. Many people do. So it's important to understand really what it is. So this culture shock, when you get to a different country, you're normally on a very high. You're excited. You're really pumped about being there. There's new foods that are amazing. You know, you might be jet lagged, but you're so happy. You're making new friends. You're getting used to things. But then after a while, it starts to be a little overwhelming. So you might start to miss your family and friends or your food at home. Things aren't quite as exciting anymore because you've been there for a little bit. So that's kind of that dip as time goes on in the country. You can see in the bottom part of the graph. So after a little while, you start to go up. So that's the recovery. So probably near maybe the middle of the trip, or it depends on you personally. You're going to start to become assimilated. You're going to be on the up and up. You're maybe no longer as sad or missing home, or you found food that you really love. Your body has adjusted to the time, adjusted to the food, the water, all that sort of stuff. And then there's the adaptation, which is kind of right up near that high, where you're really part of the culture. And this normally is right about when you're thinking about leaving. This is when you're really part of it. And then you can see we kind of transfer over to time at home. So you're returning home, and then you're very excited to be home at that point. So your sense of satisfaction, that level on that kind of end of the graph is pretty high. You're very satisfied with being back home. You know, see everyone that you hadn't seen in a while, eating your old food, having a dryer, sleeping in your old bed, that sort of stuff. And then as time goes on, you might experience what's called reverse culture shock. So this reverse culture shock is really that dip that begins sometime after you've arrived home. You're starting to understand that maybe things aren't so normal at home that you had remembered them. You had been used to what you were experiencing abroad, and now you're kind of having that reverse culture shock and doing your old practices, eating the old food, and it's not feeling as familiar anymore. After a while, that will definitely go away as time goes on. While you'll always think fondly of your time abroad, you'll kind of settle in at home. So then your sense of satisfaction is on the rise throughout recovery, and then after some time, you do reintegrate into your life at home. You'll always have those memories, but you're definitely back to your normal self after some time. So culture shock, as we said, it's normal. So here are some ways that you can try to prevent it or reduce it. Like I said, not everyone will have it, but if you do, it's important to know really how to help. So it's a great idea to try to make connections in wherever you're studying abroad, so whether that be other students in your classes, other students that are studying abroad from the U.S., maybe from your state, something like that. It's important to talk to someone, so maybe the study abroad office at the university you're studying at, or the faculty member that you're traveling with. It's just important to talk it out. And also to explore your host country. So you want to explore that place you're in, and that can help you really assimilate like we chatted about earlier. So get involved, go explore, go see new things, find hobbies, find friends. Just try to settle in. But also, it's always important to keep in touch with family and friends. So if you're keeping in touch, then that will help you to feel a sense of satisfaction and that you are, connected with home, but you're also enjoying your time abroad. So also to note, some students might have expectations while going abroad, and it's definitely good to, expect a great experience, but we also want to remind students that things will come up. You're in a different country, it's a different culture, some things are going to be different. So please don't have expectations that things are going to be exactly the same as they are here. For example, there are some places in the world that don't have dryers. So many places in Europe in particular and elsewhere that they don't really dry clothes. So don't expect that you have a dryer in your homestay or in your dorm room because they might not have dryers there that they really use. Also, there might be travel complications. So you might miss a flight by accident, and although that's never fun, it might come up, and it's just important to go with it. Complications arise in all matters of life here in the U.S. too, so just be flexible. It's important to be flexible. Also, with those expectations, please be aware that local transportation will be different. So if you're in a city, you might go on the tube or on the U-Bahn or something like that on a train to classes, and it might be a half an hour while you're used to at home walking 5 minutes to class. Things are different in other parts of the world, so just be flexible with that sort of stuff. And remember that you are on an academic program, you're getting credit for this experience, and it's not just a vacation. Although we want you to have fun, please remember that this is for credit, you're a student, and it is an academic program first and foremost. So before you leave, there are some things that you should be doing. So make sure that you submit the following forms prior to your departure. I would assume that many of you have already done this when you're watching this video, but please just make sure that we have your health form, your permission to release, your student conduct form, your agreement and release, your passport scan, and your travel itinerary. These are things that we just need to know so we have information on your stay and that sort of stuff so we can keep track of everyone and help from our end while you're abroad. So also, while you are abroad, please make sure you're understanding that you're bound by the laws of the country in which you're traveling, which I think most of you would understand that. But just because you're traveling doesn't necessarily mean that they have the same laws as the U.S. So just be a little bit aware of the laws there. You're also bound by the Brockport Policies and Procedures Handbook. So you're still a SUNY student, technically because you're going through Brockport, so you are bound by that handbook. And make sure to read it. It can be found on the website, online. Just understand kind of what is expected of you. So safety. Safety is a big, big thing. We want to keep you safe. Everyone, wants you to be safe while you're abroad. Safety is a main concern. Although likely nothing will come up, everyone will have a wonderful time and won't really have to deal with emergency action plans or things like that. It's just important to understand what to do if that case does arise. So please, please, please register your travel plans with the U.S. Embassy. It's very easy, so you can click on that link. We can send it in a separate document. If you register, they will have your name on file. So if for some reason something happens in the country you're in, you will be accounted for and they'll know that you're there. So there's always a U.S. Embassy in every country you go to, so it's good to just know where those are as well. The Department of State does provide accurate information on each host country, so just be aware of things going on in your host country. And also, it's good to prepare a personal emergency action plan. So that's really what you're going to do in an emergency before it happens. So write it down just so you don't have to think about it at that time. You already know what to do. And it can really help you effectively and efficiently deal with an emergency situation. So some more safety tips. These also hold true in the U.S., so just keep track of yourself, keep safe, just like you would here on an American campus. So don't travel alone at night or on long trips. It's always best to be in a group and to just, if you're in a city or you're in an unfamiliar place, it's just best to not travel alone. Also, don't invite strangers to your room. Try to keep yourself safe. You're traveling, you don't know these other people, so just don't invite strangers to your room. Act responsibly, so I think that's a given. Just try to be a responsible adult. You're all adults when you're traveling to these other countries. And then also feel free to email or call us if you think we can be of assistance in any safety matter. But remember that we might not be able to respond as quickly as you need. So please contact your on-site staff or program study abroad office where you're studying. Also, there's emergency contact information for campus police here at Brockport that you could call if it's late at night or that sort of thing. So just know who to call in case of an emergency. Here are those numbers that we just chatted about. So campus police is 585-395-2222 for Brockport. Also, there's that link to the Embassy Smart Traveler Enrollment Program that you can enroll in. Our number is 585-395-2119. Our email's there. And then also, please create your own emergency contact list to keep you with you while traveling. So we will send this to you in an attachment via email. So this contact list is just for you. Remember that you don't need to send it in to us. It's just so you know all these sort of phone numbers and who you want to contact in case of an emergency, including family and friends. So communication while overseas. When you're traveling away from your program location, always notify the people here at home, so your family or friends that are kind of wondering where you are. Let them know where you're going and when you plan to return. Also, please send our office a notification of when you're leaving your program. So if you are in a program in France and you are going to London for the weekend, email us. It's very quick and easy, and then we just know where you are. Let your family know, that sort of thing. So email us that information, name, program, where you're traveling, dates, best way to reach you, that sort of thing. It's just kind of a preventative measure just to keep track of you and that sort of thing. So in the event of an emergency, remember, contact your family to let you know you're okay. Let them know you're okay. Even if you weren't directly involved in an emergency, but it happened in the general vicinity, the same country you're in, or even the same continent, it's good to let your family know right away because they might be worried about you. They might be watching the news and see something come up and they really want to hear from you. Also send us an email to confirm your safety. It's just important that you do that so we know where you are as well. If you're on a university program, let your host university know on top of that. Also, if you're having any issues while overseas, please let us know directly. While we are very, very willing to chat with your parents if you've given consent to do so, it's always best coming from you, and we really need to work with you directly if any issues arise. So here are some more important links. The enrollment program that we chatted about, that's really important. The CDC, Consulate Abroad, Department of State safety tips, a few other things that might be good to check out. So another very important topic is health. So for each country that you go to, the CDC website, so Centers for Disease Control, that website will have information, health information on where you're traveling to. So it's important to look at these different websites for up-to-date info on health issues, vaccination requirements, things like that, because once in a while you need a certain vaccine to go to a country, and it's important to know that ahead of time or just be aware of health issues that could arise. Also, before you leave, it's really important to meet with your physician. Even if you don't think you really need to chat with them about anything specific, it's just good to let them know that you're going abroad, to let them know the place you're going, and to see if you need any vaccinations and that sort of thing. So just meet with them if possible. Also, if you have any prescription medication, make sure you have a sufficient supply to last you for the entire time. Have a copy of the prescription with you. And you can get prescriptions abroad, but it's important to know what those medications are called. So that website, geobluestudents.com, that is for our health insurance, the international health insurance. And on that website, there's translation guides to see what the medications are called. So if you take a certain medication, it might have a different name in the host country. So please be aware of that before you go. Also anticipate your health requirements. So if you have an allergy to something, tell the people there that. So the program provider, the faculty member you're going with, just let people know. A few important pieces of information for someone in the Brockport area or elsewhere. We have a health center on campus, and all of you would on your campuses, so go and chat with them. They likely have someone trained in travel medicine and can chat with you about traveling abroad. There also are travel clinics, travel medicine clinics in a lot of different cities. Passport Health, for example, is in Rochester and Syracuse, New York. They provide vaccines that aren't provided at a lot of other doctors' offices, health tips. They give a lot of great information, specific information, even on just traveling to the country. So those are some good resources if you need them. Also, just know ways to keep yourself healthy. There are different recommendations for different parts of the world. So if you're going to Africa, it's going to be different than going to Europe or China or Canada. You know, it's just going to be different depending on the part of the world you're going to. But as a rule of thumb, don't pet stray animals. So that one was pretty funny, but no matter how cute they are, just don't do it. A lot of different parts of the world, they don't have rabies vaccinations for the animals, so you don't know what you're going to expose yourself to. Also, wash your hands, keep yourself clean like you would here in the U.S. Watch what you eat, especially street food. While we want you to taste different types of cuisines, just understand what you're putting in your body. Your body might not be used to it, and it's important to just be aware of that sort of stuff. Your stomach and immune system will take some time to adjust to the home country, including the water. So water, food, it's prepared differently. You might have some stomach issues upon arrival. Just kind of be aware of those things. Be prepared. So to the fun stuff, here is our information on insurance. So you will be enrolled in GeoBlue. It is the mandated SUNY insurance that all students get. It's included in the program price, and we have some steps on how to get your insurance card. So some of you or all of you may have been registered as of now. It normally is about 2 weeks prior to the start of your program, and you will receive an email from GeoBlue and from our office with directions. Enroll online. It's very helpful. Then you can have access to those translation guides and things like that. Also print out your insurance card. There's instructions on how to do so. Here there are a few links for students and parents. So if there are any parents listening to this, you can go there and see what's available for you to peruse. This insurance includes evacuation for medical, political, or natural disaster incidences and repatriation in case of an emergency. Although those aren't fun topics to talk about, this is why this insurance is so essential and really important to have, because there are some things that a normal plan would not cover. So some more information on the insurance. Pre-trip planning. If you're traveling with a medical condition, it's very important to plan ahead. So plan ahead, go to that translation guide or look up the country on GeoBlue that you're going to. Know where you can go to see a doctor or get medication and that sort of thing. GeoBlue helps you find support or provide support in finding appropriate care. They assist locating prescription medication. There are also a few other things that they do at the bottom. That little tip in the corner, it's really important for you to know that some medications are not available or legal outside of the U.S. While those are very limited, just be aware. So look ahead of time just in case. Here are some of the different types of services provided by GeoBlue. So if it is a medical emergency, go to the nearest emergency room and contact GeoBlue from there. So most of the time, if you see the second part down, inpatient admissions, if you need to go to a hospital or a doctor, make a doctor's appointment, and it's not an emergency, you want to call GeoBlue ahead of time. And that, by calling them ahead of time, they can help set you up with a doctor, one that speaks English, which is very helpful when receiving care, two, that is covered under this insurance plan, and you will not have to pay out of pocket. However, sometimes you can't make a call to GeoBlue. It might be an emergency. So go to the emergency room, receive your care, but then you will likely have to pay out of pocket and be reimbursed for that. So make sure that you're keeping all receipts if you're paying out of pocket for things, so you can be reimbursed later. For medical evacuation, there are a few things there. These are just some things that are provided with the insurance and some steps on how to go about using those services. So importantly, what do you do if you need to see a doctor? So go to that website, or there's an app that we'll chat about later, and contact them to schedule an appointment. So on the app and on the website, it will list pre-approved doctors that you should see in the area that you're in. If you for some reason go to a doctor that's not pre-approved on that list, you will likely have to pay out of pocket and be reimbursed later. So it's important for you to look at that list before you make a doctor's appointment and go to someone that's already been pre-approved. What do you need to do if you need help scheduling an appointment? So often it's easier to set up your own, but they can help you. JBlue can help you if you're unsure. So if you have a new diagnosis, you're in a remote area, you need translation, or if you just need some advice, contact them. And requesting direct pay, use the JioBlue app or jiobluestudents.com, and they will help you out with the direct pay. Here's the app. So once you are registered for JioBlue, you will receive information on downloading the app. And if you're using a cell phone or an iPad or something like that while you're abroad, it's great to be able to go to this and be able to translate medical terms, direct pay, have your ID card right there on the thing. Sorry about that. So now to transcripts and credits. You will be studying abroad for credit, so it's really important to consult with your academic advisor before your departure. So many of you probably have already done this. If not, I would recommend doing it as soon as possible. So you want to make sure that you get course approval if you have a certain requirement that you need to be met, because all courses, almost all, I shouldn't say all, almost all are transferred in as OAP 404. So that is an upper division credit, and it's OAP, which means Overseas Academic Program. So kind of like if chemistry might be CHE, OAP is Overseas Credit, so essentially study abroad. And it will transfer in right as that, and if you don't do anything with it, it will just be a 400 level class. However, you might want your several classes that you're taking abroad, or the 3 credits, you might want it to count for one specific thing. So for example, anthropology 250. You really need the anthropology class you took abroad to count for that. You would go to your academic advisor with a syllabus, sit down and see if it matches the course description of the one here in the U.S. or is up to the same standard, is similar enough for them, and they will sign off on it. You go do the process however it works at your home institution, and just make sure that it will count when you get back for what you need it for. If you are going to a university for a semester or a summer or for a longer period of time, the transcript will take a few months. So the host universities, it takes a little bit longer overseas, so it will take a few months for them to submit your transcript. Grades and credits issued by host universities overseas will be converted to a U.S. scale. So almost everywhere, if you get a grade, it will look differently than it will here. It might not be at a 100-point scale, or it might not be A through F. It will look a little different. So we get the grades from the overseas institutions, and we translate them to U.S. terms. So when you get them, you get those Brockport credits, they will be on the American scale. Okay, so important documents to have when you are abroad. So make copies of everything. This is very important. You want copies in a very secure location of your passport, your JioBlue insurance card, your flight information, contact information for your bank and credit card, and your emergency contact list. So this is important in case you lose anything. If for some reason you lose your debit card while you are abroad, you want to be able to have information to be able to get it back. So just make sure you're having copies of all that sort of stuff. And leave copies here in the U.S. with your emergency contact here, whether it be a parent, a friend, a relative, an advisor, anybody, whoever is your emergency contact, so that person that you would be contacting, have copies of the identification documents like your driver's license, your passport, your insurance contacts, medical information, flight information, your contact info, so if you have a cell phone abroad, your FaceTime information, that sort of stuff. Just have that all here in the U.S. with your emergency contact. So this is one of the topics that students are most excited to hear about. They're really wondering what they need to pack while they're abroad. So while this will vary dramatically depending on your program, we have a few suggestions for almost anybody. So whether you're studying for 4 months or 2.5 weeks, travel lightly because you and only you are responsible for your luggage. You want to be able to navigate through an airport or through public transportation with your luggage. Also know your airline's baggage restriction policies. So most of the time currently, the weight for luggage is about 50 pounds. And that might be free on your airline, but likely a second one would not be. So if you plan on bringing multiple suitcases, be aware of that. It can get pricey. Also make sure you know that you can't bring certain liquids and carry-ons. Just be aware of the information that you need to know to fly, which many of you might know already, but if not, you can look it up online or they will tell you while you're at the airport. Also, make sure you have a plan for bringing souvenirs back. While you might not want to spend too much money abroad, you might also want to buy a few gifts for family and friends. So have some extra room in that suitcase for that. Things like clothing, clothing you'll want to bring obviously, but you can buy clothing abroad. Most of the places you are, you can buy some clothing if you forget a sweatshirt or something like that. So laundry soap, shampoo, conditioner, soap, other toiletry items, those you can buy abroad. So whether you're studying for the semester or a couple weeks or the summer or winter, those are readily available in most places that you're going to go. So you don't have to pack sheets and that sort of thing. That's going to be there waiting for you, or you can buy it easily. Also, please understand what you're going to do to communicate while you're abroad. We'll chat about that in a second, but you might want to bring your cell phone, computer if you likely will be doing coursework while overseas. Also, so all your electronics and adapters. So understand where you're going, the voltage, whether you need a converter and an adapter, which those are different things. An adapter adapts your plug to whatever outlet you're at, but a converter will convert the voltage. So be aware of what sort of voltage is allowed in the country in the socket, and just don't blow any fuses, that sort of thing. Just kind of understand that and have that handy. So here is money. Money matters. So you're going to want to have access to funds while abroad. So it's important, very important, to notify your bank and credit card accounts at home here in the U.S. of the semester or the time that you're abroad, where you're going, and for how long. So if you are going to Europe, let them know. I'm going to Europe for 4 months. Or if you're going to South Africa for 2 weeks, let them know that. You don't want your card to be turned off because someone in China is buying things, but it's really you. Your bank won't know that until you tell them that you are traveling. Also, don't bring too much cash. There are ATMs likely at the airports where you're going or in the location that you'll be studying. Credit cards generally work fine, but lots of times if you're eating dinner or that sort of thing, you will want to have cash, but you can get that while you're there. You can convert money here in the U.S. and bring some with you just to be extra prepared, but please don't bring too much. It's recommended that you get a new credit or debit card with a security chip. Those are much more secure and can help prevent theft. So be aware of that, and also make copies, scan these financial documents and cards, and have them in a secure location in case anything happens if you need those numbers. So staying in touch. While you're in the country overseas, your host country, you might want a cell phone. You might want to text other people in the program, make calls, that sort of thing. And a lot of students find that the cheapest way to do this is to buy a pay-as-you-go cell phone. So these sort of cell phones you can buy at a lot of different like mini marts and things like that abroad, and you can buy minutes to go with them. They're very cheap. You're not locked into a plan, so those are available. Also, some students choose to have a SIM card for their iPhone. Some plans also have international calling, so check with your mobile carrier about that. For calling home, likely you won't want to call on a cell phone. You'll want to connect to Wi-Fi and use apps such as Facebook, WhatsApp, Skype. You can iMessage, that sort of thing, FaceTime. So be aware of how you're going to get in contact with those at home and keep in touch, because they definitely want you to do so. So we have some scenarios. I will just do one, and I'd like you all to kind of consider what you would do in this scenario. So you are in an airport. You're going to be boarding a plane, but you're not able to do so, and your plane has been delayed. And you're going to miss your connecting flight. Who do you contact? So what do you do in this scenario? You are overseas. You are in a different country. We'll say you're not in your host country. And what are you going to do in this scenario? You're going to miss your connecting flight back to your program location. Who do you contact? Who's the best person to contact? So I'll give you all a second to think about that. Okay. So although I can't hear anyone's answers, I'm definitely interested in hearing what everyone has to say. The answer to this question is you would work directly with the airline. So although you might want to let people at home know or let your program provider know that maybe you won't reach the location in time, those individuals can't really do anything about it in the moment. So it's really important to work with the airline in rescheduling or getting to your final destination in time. If you are on a Delta flight, go to the Delta office and work directly with them. They are very used to this predicament. This does happen, although not incredibly frequently. It does happen, and they're professionals, so definitely contact them directly. So we do have a few more scenarios. I will send those on via email so everyone can kind of consider what they would do in those cases. It's important to understand what you would do in different kinds of situations. But sometimes things just come up, and as we said earlier, it's really important to be flexible. Be flexible with things, because that's half the fun and provide some great stories to tell later on. Okay, so that is the end of our presentation today. As it says there, we really hope you have the time of your life. I know you will, and I know you will have an amazing experience. Really immerse yourself in the culture of the host country. No matter how long you are there, you can definitely do things to make yourself feel at home there, and really bring that experience back here to the U.S. Tell your family and friends, and just keep that part of you. That's really what is awesome about study abroad. So I'm going to end there. If you have any questions for our office, please let us know. You have our contact information, and we wish you great success in studying abroad, and we thank you for working with us. Have a good day.